Welcome to the Rise of Immortals Immortal Spotlight. Today we will be evaluating one of our tournament entrants, the Netheurgist. The Netheurgist is a magic caster who excels at dealing high damage over time while being very difficult to pin down during battle. His damage over time effects can easily drain the life force from even the most vigorous foes. He is most valuable when he can give his team the edge with a crippling initiation while also preventing the enemies from running away freely. The Netheurgist is weakest when he can't freely initiate teamfights due to risk of being disabled or dying to heavy burst damage. Netheurgist's item build will be tailored to give him the utility and survivability he needs to stay alive in order to deal consistent damage as long as possible. At the start of the game, grab Wildrunner's boots to threaten side lanes with quick ganks. As the game progresses, Netheurgist will need additional hit points and mana, so be sure to grab some combination of the Bloodstone Pendant, Orchid Stone, and Mage Slayer gloves. In the late game, as opponents are starting to get increased magic resistance, pick up a Glyphed Wand to continue dealing heavy damage. Netheurgist's first ability is Shadow Spear. The Netheurgist launches a spear of dark magic in target direction. All enemies hit by the spear take damage for the next 5 seconds. While the spear is traveling, the Netheurgist may activate the ability again to teleport to its current location. This ability is Netheurgist's main focus in the early game and should be maxed first. Aiming the spear properly will be important to maximizing effectiveness of Netheurgist because it provides both damage and movement into a single skill shot. Shadow Spear can also be used to escape enemy pursuit by throwing it over walls or in an alternate escape path before teleporting to it. The Netheurgist's next ability is Shackles of Death. Shackles is a single target damage over time ability that increases in potency the longer it remains active. In addition to dealing damage, it also slows the target for the duration. Being stunned, silenced, or activating another ability will cause the shackles to break. Shackles of Death is an exceptionally strong finisher, and should be conserved for use after the rest of your damage over time abilities are cast on the target. The ability's strong snare will also help you prevent enemies from fleeing beyond the range of your teammates. Netheurgist's third ability is Dark Spirits. Netheurgist curses enemies in an area, debuffing them with a short damage over time effect. If an afflicted immortal uses an ability during this time, the Dark Spirits then ignite to deal additional damage and silence the enemy for 2 seconds. This ability is most effectively used at the start of a teamfight when initiation is occurring. Timing this ability well will prevent all of the enemy casters from properly chaining their skills together. Try to use this skill on the enemy team right before their opportune moment to cast spells. The Netheurgist's ultimate ability is Necrotic Earth. Netheurgist creates a trail of necrotic earth as he maneuvers around the battlefield for the next 6 seconds. Enemies that are in the necrotic earth take heavy damage and are slowed for as long as they remain in the area of effect. Maximizing the damage of this ability will require the Netheurgist to be in close proximity to his opponents while predicting their movements. Try to place the trail of necrotic earth in the direction the enemy wants to travel, to force them to use a different route or take heavy damage. The ability can also be used defensively to deter people from chasing Netheurgist. The high damage can sometimes allow Netheurgist to turn back and win a fight with a foolish enemy who chased too far. Netheurgist's final ability is Death Rift. The Netheurgist opens a deadly rift beneath him which pulls all nearby enemies to his current position. Once there, the enemies take damage and are stunned for a short duration. This signature ability is one of the most crippling initiation effects in the game. Death Rift simultaneously groups your enemies up and stuns them, allowing you and your team to unload their full arsenal of area of effect abilities for maximum carnage. Netheurgist excels in the middle lane to get an advantage in experience and gold as quickly as possible. The straight path of the creeps in the middle lane also allows him to hit entire creep waves with his Shadow Spear, netting easy creep score. After quickly clearing a wave with Shadow Spear, Netheurgist can use the time to roam around the map, potentially picking up kills if any of his enemies are overextended. Netheurgist's Shadow Spear allows him to teleport into side lanes and contributes a lot of damage, making for a strong ganking potential. The champion tree bonuses for Shadow Spear and Shackles of Death are especially potent and should be a priority on the way to acquiring your signature. Utilize an artifact build that emphasizes health, magic resistance penetration, cooldown reduction, movement speed, and armor and magic resistance. And that concludes this week's Immortal Spotlight. Thanks for watching and we'll see you soon. To learn more about Rise of Immortals, visit signup.riseofimmortals.com to download and play the game today for free.